I'm the Irish guy, and everybody hated that January transfer window. Everybody has whinged, moaned, and complained that that month was more boring than any episode of Grey's Anatomy. And yes, okay, it was quiet, but I am sorry. There was still some quality business that nobody is talking about. So I'm going to go through every Premier League club and just shine the light on one genius transfer decision, whether that was in or out, that every club did in January, that nobody is talking about enough. Right, let's go. Oh, and yes, I know, the forfeits. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten. Yes, on Monday in the Prem catch-up, I will squirt 4 bottles of Lucozade in my eye alongside that bin filled with coffee. I was just busy this week. But yes, Monday, oh, goody. Right, let's go. Arsenal releasing Rune Runarsson. Okay, Arsenal haven't done anything genius-esque. Nothing. There's been no expert loan spells out. No huge bids they've had to fend off one of their players. And absolutely nothing coming in through the door. So, they haven't really done anything. They just released Icelandic goalkeeper Runar Alex Runarsson, who everyone will remember for being totally garbage in a League Cup match against Man City 3 years ago. Yeah, Gunners fans very quickly made up their mind that he was about as talented as a broken wheelie bin. So I feel bad for saying that getting rid of him was a genius move, but for Arsenal, there really isn't anything else. Aston Villa signing Morgan Rogers. Oh, here we go. Because the January transfer window was about as exciting as watching a sheep lick poo off its foot, then yes, these are the type of monster, marquee, astute transfers that are getting less attention than a caterpillar chewing leftover sausage in your fridge. But I'm sorry, Villa are offering a £15 million deal for Middlesbrough winger Morgan Rogers is actually a scary move. Yes, I know, on paper, Villa just pinching a winger from Borough. It sounds very Stuart Downing, someone with all the gravitas of a pig's bum crack. But I'm sorry, Rogers is a winger with 7 goals and 9 assists for Middlesbrough in the Championship this season, having joined them in the summer from Man City. Right now, it is so fashionable for footballers, coaches, managers, directors of football, anything, to have been infected with the Man City bug. I mean, right now, the likes of Ange Postecoglou, Michael Olise, Cole Palmer, Taylor Harwood-Bellis, Mikel Arteta, the whole Girona fairy tale, even Real Madrid's Brahim Diaz morphing into Messi in the Champions League this week. There are Manchester City fingerprints on everything that is hot in the sport right now. Why do you think I'm so desperate for Lee Carsey to be appointed the next Ireland boss? He is a manager who once coached the Man City under-18s. He was working in the Pep Guardiola system. I don't care how petty and junior his role was. I don't care if his job at Man City did just consist of popping out to the shops to buy Jaffa cakes for the rest of the staff. I don't care if he was paid to stir Pep's tea with his knob. He was in the Man City family, so that is good enough for me. So Rodgers, he spent 4 years of his life at City being coached to play the Pep way between 2019 and 2023. You just know he's got a clever football brain. He's an FA Youth Cup winner at City. He was an England under-17 superstar was at the Etihad. Yes, on paper, signing a championship winger from Middlesbrough sounds boring, but to find out that he's actually got City DNA, it's like if someone gives you some boring turkey sandwich as a Christmas gift. Initially, it's a very meh present, but then somebody tells you that that sandwich once spent a year in Beyonce's fridge. Oh, suddenly you're quickly flogging that thing on the internet to creepy loaners for upwards of 20 grand. Bournemouth signing Uni Zenal. You all know that I think Andoni Iraola transfer decisions are ingenious anyway. Honestly, that clever Spanish coach could probably force his own goalkeeper to eat his own grandmother's chest hair in a stew, and I would still bank on that to be a performance-enhancing trick. Look, remember what I said about Rodgers having Man City DNA? So does Bournemouth's new loan signing, Turkish striker Enes Unal. Oh yes, spent 2 years at the Etihad, having joined them in 2015 from Bursaspor for just £2 million. Okay, to be fair, he never actually made his City debut, and I'm guessing Pep never even bothered to learn his name, but still, for 2 years there, he was a Getafe goal machine. 16 goals in the 21-22 season, 15 goals last season before a cruciate ligament kept him out for 6 months, and he was since replaced with the team by some Manchester United outcast who would probably be a nightmare guest for Come Time With Me. Look, it is a risk signing someone who's just back from injury, but he's only 26. I think a fully fit Unal could pose absolute problems for Premier League defenses. Yes, I know he's been replaced in the Getafe team, but don't forget, he's been replaced by someone who Alan Shearer once tipped to break his Premier League all-time goal-scoring record. Unal is a quality signing. Brentford signing Sergio Reguilon. Look, this transfer is strange, but what a deal for Brentford. 3 years ago, Sergio Reguilon, as we talked about, as arguably the best left back in the Premier League, an absolute Tottenham superstar. The man was playing so well, all the talk was about whether or not Real Madrid would exercise their £27.5 million buyback clause for somebody who's been with them since 2005. It's weird that he's since been thrown away on disappointing loan spells to Atletico Madrid and Man United. It's not like he even had a horrible injury, which caused his feet to turn moldy and black. I mean, what's the reason for his poor form? Is he just being poisoned on a daily basis by his own private chef? Some troublemaker serving him dead mice and pretending that it's fish? I don't know, but surely a 27-year-old Reguilon is an excellent signing for Brentford. Surely. Brighton signing Valentin Barco. Brighton have done it again. You know when we all start looking at a particular Brighton player, ripping it up on Match of the Day? Well, you can't ever remember the club signing them? Like Evan Ferguson, Moise Caicedo, Julio Enciso, Simon Adingra, Karo Matoma. I cannot pinpoint the moment when I heard that the Seagulls had bought any of them. It wasn't exactly a Dear Diary moment. All those transfers were so low-key, it made about as many cultural shockwaves as my granddad when he took a poo in his bed. It wasn't exactly getting reported on the news. These were such nothing buys. Nobody took any notice. Yeah, it could have flashed up on Sky Sports for 7 seconds, but again, it would have been about as noteworthy as if somebody had told me that the next door neighbor had just poured himself a bottle of Frosties on the loo, and simply nobody would have taken notice this January of Brighton paying £7.8 million for Valentin Barco. Someone who honestly looks like a famous hurler I used to know. Podge Collins? Yes. His actual name was Podge. Barco is 19 years old and an Argentina under-23 superstar playing under boss Javier Mascherano. He's a diminutive left-wing back who is making his debut for Boca Juniors at just 16. This is someone who was on the verge of joining Manchester City in September. The plan was that he would then be loaned out to Leicester, where he'd be coached by Enzo Maresca. Another one covered in City DNA. So the fact that a super talent like him has wound up at Brighton, this is Virgil and Ansu Fati levels of what? This is a future Champions League level, potentially world-class left back. So for Brighton to sign it for less than 8 million quid. Wow. Burnley signing David Datro Fofana. Look, I'm not sure if this move is genius, because Burnley are still going to go down, but at least Vincent Kompany has signed a centre-forward who looks like he's able to score a few goals. Ivory Coast international David Fofana, someone whose career definitely stalled on at Union Berlin in the first half of the season. I mean, he got suspended for refusing to shake the manager's hand, but hey, he did score 22 goals in one season for Molde 2 years ago. He played well enough to convince Chelsea to buy him, so I think this is a decent loan move. Chelsea loaning Ian Maatsen to Borussia Dortmund. Because of the looming threat of FFP sanctions, Chelsea were clearly too scared to do anything in this window, which must have been difficult for a crazy shopaholic like them. Honestly, they must have felt like some bored housewife who is so used to spending thousands of pounds on clothes every week, but who now has since had her credit cards fed to the dog. Chelsea really did do nothing in January, but their best decision was letting Dutch left back Ian Maatsen join Borussia Dortmund on loan. He was somebody who was linked with Man City, Dortmund, and Burnley. I mean, seeing him wind up at the Etihad would probably give Chelsea fans horrible Kevin De Bruyne flashbacks, and a loan move to Burnley would have done nothing then staple a demoralizing relegation to his CV early doors. So instead, join the ambitious, hungry, fast-paced, quality outfit like Dortmund. He can play every week in a winning team, getting regular minutes in the Champions League. This is brilliant for his career, so this move can only be good for Chelsea. Either he returns to Stamford Bridge in the summer as an extremely confident, improved left back, almost like a new signing ready to slot into Pochettino's team, or he impresses so much in Germany that Chelsea can sell him for about 60 million quid. This is a very good move. Crystal Palace signing Daniel Munoz. Again, I'm not really sure if this was genius, but Crystal Palace have needed a new right back ever since they sold Wan-Bissaka 5 years ago. Daniel Munoz is an experienced Colombian international right back. He's 27 years old, had 4 great years with Genk in Belgium. So the signing for 8 million quid, yeah, decent move, I guess. Everton, none. Sorry, Everton, but you haven't done anything right this window. No incomings at all. All you really did was just cancel Mason Holgate's loan spell at high-flying Southampton in the Championship to just chuck him into a horribly pitiful, doomed loan spell at Sheffield United. What was the point? You're just torturing one of your most experienced defenders by throwing him into a losing team. And guess what? By the way, a relegation rival. What was the thought process behind this? Fulham signing Armando Broja. Again, this belongs in the same level of genius category as Burnley signing Fofana on loan from Chelsea. It's a decent move, but not exactly earth-shattering. Look, if Marco Silva can coach the Broja that stole the show at Southampton before his horrible injuries, then this could be a brilliant short-term loan, even at the very least. The mere threat of having a Chelsea loanee in the squad might just spur on Raul Jimenez and Rodrigo Muniz to start scoring goals. Healthy competition. Yeah, it's a decent move. Liverpool not signing Jordan Henderson. Look, Liverpool were extremely quiet in January, but I need to give the board a pat on the back because how easy would it have been to just sign Jordan Henderson? This is an almost legendary Liverpool captain who was available on a free just 6 months after he quit them for Saudi football. For Jurgen Klopp, the chance to link up with his former captain for his last few months at Anfield for another title charge, I don't care what anyone says. That would have been tempting for the German boss. It would. And Henderson would have probably eaten his own body weight in poisoned sausage to squeeze through a move back to Liverpool. But it would have been a horrible mistake. After 6 months of playing virtual League One standard football, he would have been in no shape or level of fitness for a Premier League title charge. The return of Henderson would have made things really awkward too. I mean, you're not going to suddenly strip Virgil van Dijk of the captaincy, so it would have been very uncomfortable when Henderson sees the Dutchman holding a mascot's hand at the front of the queue. Ozzy Henderson back to Liverpool would have been a mess. Luton Town signing Daiki Hashioka. Okay, I don't really know if this is genius or madness, but it sounds like a decent buy for Luton Town. Daiki Hashioka is a 24-year-old Japanese right back who is doing well for Sound through down in the Belgian Pro League. I don't know, he's a regular Japan international defender, so to stamp him up for just around £1 million. Decent buy for Luton, right? Man City signing Alex Alcala. Again, a good one for the future. Manchester City have snapped up the 18-year-old Mexican Messi, a Mexico under-18 superstar who has spent time training with Barcelona, has recently been ripping up for LA Galaxy, and has been compared to Ronaldinho. Yes, I know all of that sounds like a terrifyingly grim reminder of Giovanni Dos Santos, a supposed generational talent who, in English football, stunk the place out at Tottenham and Ipswich Town. I really can't imagine a young, sloppy party boy like Dos Santos spending the end of the season in the same dressing room as Roy Keane. They only worked together for less than a month, but I have no idea how the Mexican playboy survived that working relationship without having his spine removed and fed to Keane's dog. He must have constantly stunk of booze. But lads, Alcala is apparently a potential superstar. Someone who City actually agreed to sign when he was 15. Yes, this move was all agreed back in 2020, that he would join City as soon as he turns 18, which does seem a little creepy. It's a bit like that odd uncle who hangs around teenage discos, asking all the 15-year-olds to ring him when she's 18 so they can then go out for ice cream without being stopped by police. Lads, Alcala, someone with his raw, juicy talent, learning the Pep way at Man City. He is going to be saucy beyond belief. Honestly, this is a low-key signing which nobody cares about right now, but he's going to explode in 2 years' time. Man United loaning out Jadon Sancho. There isn't really much to choose from Man United, but I suppose, they had to loan Jadon Sancho to Borussia Dortmund, right? Let's be real. At the minute, he's an untouchable problem child whose stock is so incredibly low that, if they were to have just kept the English winger locked away in the suspension room until the end of the season, and then they try to sell it, they might have fetched, at most, 20 million from some Saudi club. That's if they were lucky. So giving him a 6 months back at Dortmund, if he plays well back in his spiritual home, maybe they actually might be able to get between 40 and 50 mil. If there's a bidding war, maybe? Newcastle keeping Kieran Trippier. There was never any chance of Newcastle making signings in January. It was all about holding on to their talent, which I know sounds very Mike Ashley era. Kieran Trippier, Callum Wilson, and Mickey Almiron were all linked away, with Bayern Munich, Atletico Madrid, and Al Shabab all trying to sign them respectively. Keeping all three was the good move, but the best one was hanging on to Trippier. Don't get it twisted. It would have been tempting. Bayern Munich offered £13 million for a horribly out-of-form Trippier. Somebody who'd had a truly horrible Christmas, looking so off the pace in defeats to Everton, Tottenham, Luton, Nottingham Forest, Man City. He single-handedly cost Newcastle a League Cup semi-final against Middlesbrough after absolutely melting in the last minute at Stamford Bridge. Make no mistake, if Trippier hadn't stupidly tried to hit the ball back to his own goalkeeper in the final minute of that quarter-final, Newcastle fans would most likely be gearing up for a second consecutive League Cup final at Wembley. Trippier ruined all that. So an angry Newcastle, being offered £13 million, £1 million more than what they paid Atletico Madrid 2 years ago, the chance to still make a profit on a right back who turns 34 years old this year, the same age that Alan Shearer was when he retired, the greatest legend in the history of this club, and when they've got a perfectly good young heir coming through in the fantastic Tito Livramento. Accepting this offer would have been surely tempting, but they rejected it, and you know what? He's played himself back into form, 3 assists and a goal in his last 3 games. He's the on-the-pitch captain. It was the right decision. Nottingham Forest signing Giovanni Reyna. This is almost up there with Brighton signing Barco as being the most ingenious move in the list. It was only a few years ago that Giovanni Reyna was being talked up as the next Christian Pulisic, an absolutely incredible young gun forward at Dortmund, who has been heavily linked with teams like Chelsea. And like Pulisic, he's also an American who weirdly lived in England as a child. Pulisic was playing for Brackley Town. Reyna was born in a Sunderland hospital. Again, that means he's probably delivered in some bathroom sink that stunk of wee. Listen, I know his reputation took a heavy knock at the last World Cup, where he fell out with the manager and was apparently just some troublesome egocentric brat, but I'm sorry, he has talent. And for Nottingham Forest to be able to pinch him on loan, a Champions League level baller. Oh, it's an exciting coup. Sheffield United signing Ben Brereton Diaz. Look, I know Ben Brereton Diaz has just been naughty going to watch Nottingham Forest. Today his own team had an actually important match. But listen, he is a quality signing on loan from Villarreal. Yes, this is a striker with horrible end product in Spain, but Chris Wilder doesn't care. He's just happy to sign someone who's a lethal goal machine for Blackburn in the Championship, and he's now scored in both Prem matches for the Blades. It is weird. This guy, born and raised in England, he was in the Manchester United Academy as far back as 2006. His dad was an English policeman who played amateur football in Stoke. This man does not look or sound like a Copa America player. He's someone who played nearly 20 times for the England under-19s just a few years ago. So, if you were to talk to him, if he then told you in his broad Mancunian accent, if he told you that he was actually chilly, you just tell him to put on a coat. Tottenham signing Radu Dragusin. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say that Tottenham signing Timo Werner on loan from RB Leipzig is some genius move, because he still looks lost and scared in front of goal. But I don't know. Signing Romanian international Radu Dragusin from Genoa, a former Juventus center back. He's still only 22. He's a direct replacement for Eric Dyer in the squad. He's getting 5 minutes, 2 minutes, and 1 minute on the pitch. At the end of the matches, he's a decent squad player, I guess. West Ham signing Calvin Phillips. Look, so far, Calvin Phillips has had an absolutely horrendous start for his West Ham loan. A dreadful mistake that cost his team a goal on his debut against Bournemouth, to then play against both Manchester United and Arsenal and lose by an aggregate score of 9-0. It is truly dreadful, but there is still a quality defensive midfielder in there. The one who was great at Leeds and brilliant for England at Euro 2020. I think it will work out and it'll prove to be a quality loan signing. But yeah, so far, oh yuck. Wolves signing Noah Lamina. Oh wow. Look, on paper, Wolves are loaning in an 18-year-old talented midfielder who has spent the last 10 years of his life being sculpted in the PSG academy. On paper, this really did look like Wolves were hunting down an absolute Champions League level wonder kid. Yeah, look a bit closer and you realize that Wolves are just signing Mario Lamina's kid brother. Oh. Now it's less exciting. Now it's just like when Chelsea bought Torgan Hazard. Or the rumors that Real Madrid are actually sniffing around Sunderland for Joe Bellingham. Look, if you ignore who his brother is, then maybe he does look like a hotly rated, exciting teenage prospect. Come on, he's been at PSG since 2014. And he apparently just ripped it up for PSG in a friendly against Al Nassr a few months ago, where everyone thought he was the best player on the pitch. But who are we kidding? It probably is just a favor to keep his big bro on side. Anyway, that's the video. What do you think? Let me know. What was your genius move? And let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give a like, subscribe as always. I'll talk to you in a while.